Mm.
Greetings. This is Tamara Westwood, your host, and we're here for a hangout. And I thank you for hanging out with me today. Here we are, Free Your Mind with Sonia Barrett. Sonia Barrett is a very popular guest here on my shows, the Illuminations and Solutions Radio Network. But today we're doing something special. We're doing a hangout. And it's going to be archived there in our YouTube channel on Solutions on YouTube. So you want to definitely join in because I know you'll want to see this over and over again. You may even want to download it to get it, to have it. All right. So I just want to welcome Sonia. She's right here with us. She's not able to be with us on video, but you see her beautiful image there. That is who Sonia is. Welcome, Sonia, for joining us here on Hanging Out with Tam.
Oh, thank you so much, Tamara. I'm really honored to be on your show and to be part of your energy right now. So thank you. Mm.
Well, you're definitely making a strong presence here with the energy, and it is glowing. I know other people can pick up on it, and they can hear it and feel it. That's for sure. Well, you know, I love your work. You are a woman that is a genius. You are a genius in the age that we are working in, and you're definitely helping to usher us to be who we're really supposed to be. And of course, that brings us to freeing our minds. And in your work, your beautiful work with the holographic canvas, now with the new film that you're bringing out, the business of disease. You're just here helping us to become more of who we're supposed to be. But I want to really bring home this issue of freeing our minds. You know, we talked earlier about the idea that sometimes our thoughts are not our own, you know, and we may not even know where they come from. You know, you brought up the idea of the media and how it can manufacture reality. Go into that a little bit for us, Sonia.
Well, as we were discussing earlier, I think that the media and just marketing in general, because it's everywhere, I think that reality is definitely created for us, and I think that it's such a subtle thing, and not only that, we become so accustomed to it that I don't think we notice. And by that I mean that we are very strongly influenced by what we hear on the news, if you listen to the news, or even just getting on the internet. You'll get on, and immediately when you log into Yahoo, or I think mainly probably Yahoo, there's pictures there and little clippings of whatever the events are of the day. Now, because we seem to live in a time where we're just bombarded by one tragic situation after another, and I think that we tend to get lost and very invested in the next dilemma, and then it sort of holds our minds. You know, it holds our minds in either the sorrowful feeling or fear. Most definitely, there's always fear there, but it takes you on a journey, and people become their realities become shaped by this kind of information. And certainly if you believe that it's not, it's still somehow interjected or injected into the choices that you make somehow, because there's fear involved. And it's kind of shocking. It'd be surprising to see how the choices that we're making are truly influenced by these external forces, this external kind of information, and a lot of it is fear generated. So you create a reality. I call it a reality bubble, or sort of a time simulation that we kind of enter into in our own individual private realities, and then that causes us to attract everything else that would be in resonance with, with that reality that we have created for ourselves or become a part of. So you'll attract people and situations and conditions that will support those fears and, of course, that reality bubble that you've created.
Oh, wow, that is so true. And we can certainly, if we really look, we can see it happening in our lives. I just had an interview with Dr. Mitchell Gibson about this very topic. He's a forensic psychologist, and he was working with a client who found that she had all these tragedies showing up in her life. She was attracting men who wanted to physically harm her. There were times where she was almost attacked and raped. And come to find out, her focus was on murders. She read
Right.
books about serial killers. She watched movies about people being harmed and being stalked.
Right.
And as you said, because she was aligning herself with a certain frequency, this is what she was interested in, this is what pulled up her emotions and feelings, this is what she began to attract in her life. And Dr. Gibson directed her to focus on some new things, to focus on some positive things, to entertain her mind with things that are beautiful. And all of it changed, very
Right.
instantly. And it is so key, that we pay very much attention. If we look at, even in the media, all these reality shows are all about drama, about people hurting each other, putting one another down, cutting each other down.
Right.
And we seem to be addicted to that.
Oh yes, absolutely. We're addicted to fear, as I've often said. There is definitely a fear addiction, and it goes from the most subtle thing to the most extreme. We can look at even going to an amusement park, and we like to get on the scary rides.
Right.
We like to go to the movies, and we like to be scared. People who watch Saw and what is that, Hostel, and really things of that nature that are traumatizing. So we're addicted to those traumatic experiences, emotional experiences that make our heart beat fast and terrify us. So there's definitely a chemical addiction, because all emotions are going to be associated with some sort of chemical um, processing in our brains, because our body's a chemical factory.
Right.
And I think that's something that we don't look at it, I think, because one, most people don't understand that, and of course two, it's not anything that we're taught in school. See, these are things that we should be educated on in school in terms of how we shape reality, but we're not taught that, because then we would really consciously and authentically shape our own reality, and then then those that like to shape our reality wouldn't get to do it. So naturally you can't, these are things that you can't really teach us. But I think these are all things that people really need to become aware of, so that we don't spend our time blaming everything outside of us, because
Right.
ultimately in the end it's it all comes back to you, and you have to take that moment to stop and really reassess what your thought process is, as you were just mentioning about Dr. Gibson's client, but to really understand that, and to really understand what we mean by creating your reality. And people sometimes get just this fluffy feeling, oh, we create our own reality, with no real thought or substance behind it.
Right.
Yes, we're creating our reality all the time.
All
But
the
now,
time.
yeah, but now you have to stop and say, okay, if I am creating my reality all the time, then why am I living the life I'm living right now? Why am I in this situation? And it's not because of your spouse, or whatever the relationship you're in, or whether it be at work or wherever. We do have choices, and we need to understand how, what kind of choices that we have, and be able to freely go ahead and step forward, step into those decisions, new choices, new thought.
Yes. And take responsibility,
Oh,
right?
that's the big one right there. That's the biggie right there, because
Yeah.
that's scary for a lot of people. Taking responsibility really just it causes everything to come home to you. And we don't want to do that. It's so much easier to put it off on something or someone else outside of us, because if you take on that kind of responsibility, it's going to affect, truly, honestly, what you even understand spiritually. Even
Mhm.
if you're and if you're religious, it's going to affect that too, because then you can't blame it on the devil and you can't just blame it on God. There's nobody to blame it on, and that's our story.
Right. And no one's coming to the rescue.
Nobody's coming to save you. And you see,
That's right.
self-responsibility affects that too, because now it's scary because, well, geez, well, if nobody's coming to save me, that means that I have to now pull myself up. Well, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Um, and that's no different than, with the film, just speaking about people who we're in a society that's addicted to medication. We like quick fixes,
Mhm.
because then we don't have to really invest in doing the work and doing the research
Yes,
and what's good for me, and maybe I can do this. It's the responsibility factor. Yeah.
that's right. And let's get into that a bit. I mean, this work that you're creating, when I invited you, you said that you were actually involved in creating the trailer, that this beautiful work is almost done. Please give us a little bit of information about this new feature that's coming out.
Well, for some of your listeners probably have heard me talk about this. I cannot believe that this has been going on for almost 2 years, but I tell you, I have a new appreciation for anybody who actually completes a film. It
Mhm.
is really a project, because you're, especially if you're not familiar. It's called The Business of Disease, and it's thebusinessofdisease.com. That's the website. And this is a little bit, I'd like to think of the film as being a little bit different than the norm. The title, everybody loves the title, but it's not just about the business of disease in the manner in which people think. It's not a blame film. It's not a film where we're just blaming the pharmaceutical companies. Sure, that's being pointed out, but the objective of the film is to bring people's minds into a space of, again, of self-responsibility, of making decisions and doing your own research, in reference to your own body, your own being, your own mind, your own spirit. And so I've taken it from the level of marketing. I've got Dr. Rapai, who's been on PBS, and he's really well known. Dr. Cloutier Rapai, who's a psychologist, but he's a huge marketing expert. He's been part of a lot of these huge corporations, in the sense of helping to even create the designs for cars. Even, what is it, the model? What is that car? Oh my gosh, a Cherokee, and several other vehicles, and even hotels. Designing them according to understanding what human beings want. Could be in a society, in a specific society. But so he's in the film, and I wanted to show the psychology of marketing, as well as to bring people into a space of understanding more about how the body operates, and how we're impacted by emotions, how emotions are processed in the body, and that disease is more than just the topical experience, where we're in pain, or there's a physical symptom, something that you can look at, a rash or something, but that everything is coming. There's a core for everything, as they say. There's a root. There's a mother.
Right.
And with Western medicine, that doesn't we they don't really explore that first, which is why there's so much cutting out of. They're trying to cut the disease out, and so you hear that it comes back because we haven't really resolved the root cause of it. And naturally, because everything is energy, and the fact that we're dealing with emotions are electrochemical impulses, and then you understand more about the body on an electrical level or an electromagnetic level, you start to understand how that would make sense, then that your thoughts, your beliefs, your just your whole emotional experience, how that would affect your body, and how that can become lodged in different areas of your body. And
Mhm.
so the film really takes you on a journey with that, and we even have pieces of quantum physics, little pieces of that. We've got Dr. Amit Kwazami, who's a theoretical physicist as well. So I've tried to, like, bring it all together as much as possible, so we can see a much bigger picture here, and for people to realize that they have more abilities than they realize. They have more power than they realize,
Mhm.
in terms of deciding their fate, and just deciding what kind of experience they choose to have. And passion is so very important. So that is, expressed as well. Passion for your life. We're not taught to have passion for our lives. We're not taught to be passionate about what our livelihood, but rather to make money. So we can have, we have to have a good job and make money, so that why? So that we can have meet the protocols, which is the house, the nice car, all of those things that are just this construct, this package. So the film for me is all about that. Now, real quickly, how did the film come about?
Yes.
Um, I wrote an article called "The Marketing of Breast Cancer: The Pink Ribbon Agenda." I wrote that a couple of years ago, um, just after being a little annoyed with all the marketing of breast cancer, and everywhere I go, and I didn't even know it was breast cancer month at that time, but I was just kind of irritated. Every time you go in a store, do you want to donate to breast cancer? It's like, no, I don't want to donate. I don't. And so I got really tired of that, and I started to wonder what the symbol was impacting on our minds. How is this influencing us now that we have symbols for everything? How is the pink ribbon? Every time we saw the pink ribbon, we knew what it meant. What kind of association were we making in our brain with this? And that's really what happened. And this is for man, woman, and child. um, that was my observation of it. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll just it'd be kind of cool to do a little film, interview a couple of people and put something together. YouTube. That was my thinking, not having any idea that it would, you know turn into what it has now. But the beauty is, with the article, there was so much great response. These are even from people who have had breast cancer, who agreed with me, people who were admitting the fear that existed in them before. So this wasn't just a lot of people responding who didn't have it. There were people who did have it and say, thank you for writing this article. Thank you, because this is how I felt, but I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want people to get upset. So there were more people just coming out the woodworks going, man, thank you, because this is really how I feel.
Mhm.
So the trailer, there's a promo up on the site. It's a little teaser, but after all this time, we finally, the real trailer for the film is done. We were just, as they say, tweaking it a little bit, little things we were taking out earlier today. And so I expect it to be up either over the weekend or by Monday. It's going to be up. And then when you look at the trailer, of course, look at the end of it. There's going to be a free giveaway, a free download that I'm giving away. So I wanted to make that available, and I want people to spread the word about that trailer. Send it to everybody. Just keep sending it around, and like us on Facebook. So the fall, I'm looking at the fall to finally have this film released. So that's where I am.
Excellent. And that film is accompanied with a book companion, right?
Right. There is a book that's coming with the film, and it's a chapter written by pretty much everybody in the film. And I thought it would be a great idea to have that. You watch the film. I mean, you don't have to, buy the book with the film. It'll be available, obviously, separately. But I wanted people to be able to have that. You walk away, you have something here that is a reminder. You can, open it up to a chapter by anybody, and the beauty of that is everybody is coming from, when I say different directions, we're all ultimately coming with the same intention, but in different words, in different ways, different aspects according to their profession that they're sort of writing in the book, and so I thought that was really good. So there's going to be something for everybody that you can always just open that book and it'll be exactly what you need.
Mm, perfect. Well, that's just what you do. You inform consciousness. You are
Mm,
helping people to steer that powerful consciousness. I mean, if we were taught to understand how powerful what our focus is, what our intentionality is, you had one idea, but look what happened to it. It grew and it expanded, and other people who were on that same vibration were attracted to what you were doing, and you've created this great production that's gonna make a big difference in the world.
well, yeah, again, it's just interesting to me just because I never know necessarily how things are going to turn out. And thank goodness for that little impulsive part of me
Right.
where I dive in and then I look back later. I go in and then I look back and I go, oh my God, I can't believe I actually came from all the way over there. So I never look at things ahead. I never look too far ahead. I don't believe in doing that. I kind of tend to stay now, right now. This is what I'm feeling. Whoa, this is a great idea, and I live there. I just live there with projects, um, and that's kind of how I do it. Otherwise, I think, as I was saying to you earlier, people tend to overplan and they just kind of overdo trying to make it so perfect. I didn't even do a business plan. Actually, I did everything backwards. And what I've heard from experts, people who are in the industry, they're like, no, that's the way to do it. That's the way you do it. Because had I done that, sit and go, okay, well, I'm going to create a business plan. I'm going to, who says we have to do anything any set way? You know, so I always go just completely with what I'm feeling right then because I realize that somebody else made up all these rules and I don't have to go by it.
You sure don't. Well, let's talk about the somebody else that made up these rules. I mean, we speak about collective consciousness, where everybody is kind of vibrating, and certainly our consciousness is steered by the media, as we talked about earlier. Certainly it's steered by the religion, our family tribe that we came from, our culture, whatever. All of that creates this bubble of consciousness where everybody
Absolutely.
is agreeing upon what we believe.
Right. It's it's the Borg mind. Is definitely the Borg mind, and the Borg mind is about comfort. It makes us comfortable when everybody else agrees with what we believe because then it's real, and that's how why religion works so well, and that's why religion is so about recruiting other people because the more people you can recruit into your belief, then then it really makes it solid for you. So that I mean that's totally what I saw, and I looked on and thought, huh, interesting. That's why they want you to go out and save souls. Well, the more people, obviously, yeah. So on a collective level, all the things that we've agreed on about reality has happened the same way. We've basically just recruited each other from one generation to the next with the same kind of protocols, the same kind of content. Now, some things change a little slightly, but I think what's interesting is what actually has gotten sort of genetically ingrained, what's written into the human gene pool in terms of belief systems. Obviously, some of this stuff is written into the human genetics, and it's a matter of being aware and waking up to that realization, and then we start changing our minds on those kinds of beliefs. And I always say, the birth to death belief system, birth to death program is certainly one that is encoded in us, and those are things we agree on collectively. What do they say? Only what's for sure? Birth, death, and taxes. You just
That's
listen to
it.
that.
Death and taxes.
Yeah, just listen to that.
Yeah.
And people will say that they regurgitate that, and
Mhm.
so that to me is something that's almost just etched into human beings. Now, if you say to somebody, well, okay, but who says any of that really is so? They go, well, no, I mean, just look around. Everything around me, it
Right.
supports that belief. And so that's the only evidence we have, um, is by what we think, we're seeing. So anyway, without getting out there, I mean, yeah, I could get out there on it because I have certainly talked about it to the extreme in terms of questions that I ended up raising for other people to start, um, really opening their minds to that possibility that maybe reality as you perceive it to be, as you see it to be right now, does that mean that it's the whole world? So I've always said, define the whole world. What is the whole world? Do you know what the whole world looks like? Nobody knows. Nobody's ever able to see the entire world at once.
Mm-hmm.
And so at lectures, these last couple of lectures, I really kind of brought that up because it's not something we think about. The whole world, the idea of the whole world has to be brought to us through pictures and images and videos. That's how we know what the world looks like. Is somebody has to create the story through books and everything, all the video stuff, all of that stuff. Somebody has to bring that idea to us of what the whole world looks like. So I started to recognize that, well, geez, the only thing I really do know about the world, and basically to some degree can confirm, is only the environment that I am interacting with in any
Right
given
now.
moment.
That's right.
Right now.
Mhm.
That's all I know of the world right now, is when I in my house, when I leave the house, when I go to the store. I don't even know if that store was there before I decided to go to the store.
True that. Yeah.
But I think that it's the outrageous questions that we have to ask. It's the outrageous questions. It's not all the safe questions and safe answers. That is just more of the package. That's the comfort that makes you feel comfortable and make your reality look very set, very static, very safe. But to start questioning all of those things, yes, it can open up a whole can of worms, because now you're looking at some serious stuff. Now we're going beyond subatomic particles. Now we're going into something completely different. That's where my mind is, because I am not. I am definitely not about being comfortable in my belief. I just see that it's so expansive. I can't even say it's so much bigger. It's just expansive. And for me to limit myself and go, okay, well, no, this is the way it has to be. Come on, that's just ridiculous. Well,
Right.
people do that. It's like, well, this is just the way it is. um and then even in the some of the conscious movement, though, I which I even just talk about too. I love when people say that all things are possible, and oh, it's not, it's all, we live in an ocean of potential, ocean of possibilities. And then you say, well, what if this? And they're like, well, no, because oh, for the
You
sake of
touched a nerve. You touched a little nerve there.
it's like, no, because so I've even raised that question. I've even said that with scientists, because I started looking at all of it. I'm like, well, none of it is really for sure that the finality, there is no final conclusion to reality. The only thing that reality is for us is what it is right now. And I really see that that's all based on where we are in terms of what we can accept truly as a possibility. And I think reality, we get to experience and express reality according to the latitude, that we have in terms of what we will allow reality to be. And that includes the scientists, because scientists, they have their formulas and so on, and they have to operate. They're operating within some of the boundaries of what the formula says. Well, until they reach that point where something happens, and then they go beyond that. The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat until someday everybody is ready to accept the fact that, okay, well, maybe it's not flat. This is how it is throughout, geez, everything. in terms of our belief system. And if we can keep going back to the earth is flat, and realize, well, oh, they found out it wasn't flat. It's round. Oh, so it's flat at the top and bottom. Oh, it goes all
Right,
right through. It goes right through.
right.
Oh,
Because that
well,
is
they're.
what everyone could see. That was the agreement
Oh, that was the
from a
that was the
small
collective.
preview. You know, that
Absolutely.
that makes me think about that. There's an Asian parable about the frog and the well. You know, he looks up and he sees this circle because he's in a well, and he believes that's what the world is.
Oh yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's all that he can see from his
Oh,
perspective.
that's it. That's all that he can see. And it's just exactly where we are with it until somehow we go into, we each go through this evolution in our consciousness, and it just expands enough to accommodate another possibility, because that's
Right.
all you're doing. You're just accommodating the next possibility. But until we can do that, we'll say, well, no, there's no, there couldn't possibly be a Middle Earth. Oh, there couldn't possibly be, anything in the sun. There's always this, there, it couldn't possibly be. And then we got to wait 300 years or more till somebody agrees, or decides, and then collectively we go, oh, okay. So that's why I emphasize, I go beyond the group concept, and which is what's sold, I think, a lot by the consciousness, the New Age movement, is this group mind that we've, as a group, we've got to, like, we've got to evolve together, we've got to do this together. And I'm like, no, not really, because
No.
everybody isn't, just because I believe this or feel this way doesn't mean that everybody else is necessarily feeling that. But through my own personal evolution, your own personal evolution, we may very well enter into a reality or a concept of reality where maybe everybody there is a little bit more evolved. Now, is it the same people that we left in the other reality? Now, that's why I'm saying we could go far and wide
We certainly can.
with looking at it. So anyway, so that's kind of where I come from. I don't have any boundaries on what reality could be, and and it's very freeing, because I get to see, you just get to see more, because I don't have any boundaries on it. Whenever I'm ready, just step it up.
Beautiful. Immortality. You know, we speak about a safe zone. You
Mhm.
know, in the new consciousness, the so-called evolved consciousness, there's the idea of reincarnation. Now that can be a safety net as well, just like heaven and hell. That idea can be kind of a safety zone. Do we really? You know, if we think about it, certainly there's lots of evidence that certainly people reincarnate. They've lived at some other time or maybe in another dimension, and they have this experience now, and they can go back and recall certain things that went on.
Right.
But is it really something that we have to do? Do we have to?
There,
Have to.
I don't think there's any have to about anything. I think that living, we're having multiple experiences. I think one we have to look at is the fact that, according to science, in our reality at this time,
Mhm.
what we understand is that past, present, and future exist all at the same time. It exists simultaneously, which would make sense in a way, because ultimately, um, there is nothing, but then there is everything. So everything at some point collapses into whatever that one dot or substance is.
Right.
So if everything is possible, and we live in a sea of potentials, if everything is possible, and that possibility is always only waiting for my interaction, are you giving it a reason to
Mhm.
manifest, or me giving it a reason, myself a reason to walk into that potential, door number 1 or door number 2 million. We're just walking into potentials that exist in a quantum field. They are not valid, or when I say valid, I shouldn't use the word valid, but they're not, they don't exist for me until that moment when I have decided to align myself with that possibility. It's
Mhm.
like a choice. We have a whole bunch of choices, but whatever choice we happen to choose at that moment, that's what we're interacting with. I think the other part of this is the fact that our consciousness is really what's traveling around all the time. That's really what's doing the traveling. We, however, get very addicted and very stuck on thinking that we are our bodies. Our bodies are these magnificent vehicles, and currently, as we know our bodies to be, they seem to operate specifically in this environment. In the based on the laws of this environment, all the gaseous laws of
Right,
this
right.
environment,
Mhm.
it seems to operate that way because we breathe. We take in oxygen and we process based on the gaseous laws. So when you look at that, that makes us think that that is all there is to us. So we tend to want to stuff who we are into these bodies, and that's not possible because what we are is you couldn't fit in this body. It's just as much too vast. This is just a minuscule vibration and a small vibration of what we are. This is a consciousness um, diminished to this level for this particular experience. So when we understand that and we begin to look at that, and we understand that your consciousness is really doing all the traveling, and that past, present, and future exist all at the same time, then
Yes.
it is very possible that what you consider to be a past life experience could, obviously it could be a now for you. It could be it's a potential now because it's all we have is now. It's just another now moment. It's just lots of potential nows. And even with hypnotherapy, and people that will go through hypnosis and or under hypnosis, and they might travel back to a particular time in their life, and they really feel themselves reliving that experience. For that person, they are there again in
That's
that
right.
past. So all these potentials, all of this just exists in the quantum field. Now, there are experiences where, you hear people say, well, I was, because we love to identify ourselves as somebody big.
Oh, certainly.
I was Cleopatra, I was Mary Magdalene, I was Nefertiti, I was all these things. And you get 200 Mary Magdalenes, or you get 200 Mother Marys. And, I looked at that and I thought, well, if all of these experiences are technically uploaded in the field, because you may have had that experience, and all that happens because it's all energy. It's all we're transmitters and receivers.
Right.
That we're transmitting those the unfolding or the results then of that emotional experience. If indeed you were Mother Mary, all of that gets it just becomes uploaded in the quantum field. Now anybody can tap into any
Mhm.
particular experience. I mean, I could tap into, Mother Mary's frequency, Tamara's frequency. It's all there. We're
It
transmitting and
is.
receiving.
I believe that too. I mean,
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, believe is a word I'm trying not to use.
right.
Uh, but yeah, I can definitely get that. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
what channeling is.
Yeah. So
When you sit
it's
down
all
and try
there.
to figure something out, you can channel that information. It's all available to us. And I think that's what keeps us so stuck here on the
Mm-hmm.
planet is that we don't realize the magnitude of the power of our minds.
No, we don't. And a good part of that happens truly so that we can have the ultimate human experience. And
Alicia, right?
oh yeah, it's like you have to. If we didn't do that, then the experiences that we're having here as human beings, it would be minuscule. Why would we even want to have all these limiting experiences if we remembered so much about what our capabilities are? So I think it happens so that consciousness can have that experience. Consciousness, spirit, however you want to put it, the outcome of everything I do believe is known, but the experience must be had. And
Yes.
we as human beings in this body, these bodies are designed to process the emotion of experiences, and that's what we do. That's what this body does. We cry, we laugh, we
Mhm.
feel pain. Everything gets processed in this beautiful uh, bio genetic vehicle that we have. So it's changing our perception on how we see these bodies and ourselves, and
Yes.
really honor this vehicle, but recognize that that's just not all of who you are at the same
Right.
time.
Right. I see our physical bodies in this three-dimensional plane as a space suit of
It
sorts.
is.
I
It
mean,
is.
perfectly designed to
Mm-hmm.
discern all the vibrations that show up as vision,
Mm-hmm.
sound, of taste,
Mm-hmm.
feel. It's just about an experience. And
That's right.
we take it so seriously, like you said, as if we are this body.
Oh, absolutely. It processes. We process the experiences through these bodies, and that's bring you right back to the film. That's the reason why when we understand this, we'll understand how emotions get stuck in the body, how it gets trapped in there, and then it gets stuck in there. But now you're also dealing with the fact that we are so removed from remembering to be online and be aligned with that expansive part of us. We completely don't remember that. So what we do is we get lost in what I like to call the automated self. The automated self, kind of runs the body, runs everything. The automated self can only refer to past experiences. I mean, it uses past
Sure.
experiences to determine the future experiences, but it doesn't really live in the now. It doesn't get that. It can only live in the past, and then it can dream about the future based on what it knows about the past. So that's the automated self, and that's what we get really addicted to. We get hooked on. The automated self is about survival, and that's what we deal with in this life. It's always some sort of survival going on. We're always running. There's always something chasing us. Money, relationships, what else? Success, failure. There's always those dynamics that we're dealing with, and so we get very lost in that, and then you forget that there is, wait a second, oh wait, that's not who I am. That's a character. I
Right.
am playing a role.
This is the role, right? Yeah. And doesn't it all boil down to that perception of self?
Oh, absolutely.
What
Well,
does it mean about me?
mhm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what it means about me is that I believe that I am this character. Like, what is it? Charlton Heston. I think everybody believed he was Moses after a while. He might
Really?
have, he
He
might have
got he
believed he was
got
Moses.
typecast for sure.
Well, that's what we do. We get we get typecast, and we're used to these roles. And man, don't anybody tell us that that's not who we are. So I think that's a big part of it. And every day you work with it, man. Every day I work with new levels of understanding.
Mm.
Um, who I am, what's possible, how I'm actually living, how I'm actually thinking. And as soon as you clear one level of understanding, there's yet another level, you know. It's,
There
it's
is. Because you can get it at a higher level.
oh my
You
God.
got it last time, but then it comes around like in a spiral.
Yep, yep,
Going
yep.
upward. It's definitely not linear.
No, absolutely, absolutely. It's a never ending discovery, and I think people tend to they're looking for that ultimate. Oh,
That's
ascension. We're
right.
looking for the ultimate enlightenment.
There's
Oh,
this
boom.
finish line. I'm in
Yeah.
nirvana. I made it. It's over.
I
I mean,
made it to
as long as
where?
you're in a physical body, it's not going to be over, right?
Yeah, I mean it's not, because this is all about these magnificent beings, is being here, playing in this human game, and then waking up and eventually these understanding the design of the game, but understanding that the objective now is to transcend. And I always go away from people going, oh, how can I escape this? And I'm always like, well, no, it's not really about escaping. Escaping
Yeah.
means fear. It means you're running. It's about transcending. And transcending
Right.
means you have awakened into a level of mastery and you recognize, oh my God, this is not real. You know,
Right.
you know, it's not this solid, finite thing that's just scary and owns you and you're enslaved by it. But you peel away the layers and then you try to start transcending into greater levels of who you are, and that gradually begins to take us beyond this life, beyond what we know as ourselves in these human bodies.
Well, you know what I found in all these years of working with clients, working as a hypnotherapist and a
Hmm.
coach, you see people go through their pain. Because whenever
Hmm.
someone comes to you with a problem, it's something that's pushing them. And
Yeah.
here, because it wants to push them out of that comfort.
Hmm.
And that pain and that even that fear that shows up is really an excellent friend because it's the catalyst to your next level.
Right.
I mean, we
Yes.
don't grow, we don't learn unless something is pushing that makes us. The baby in
Yeah.
that egg, he only comes out because it got too tight in there.
Yeah, need room. I'm so glad you said that because again, this is a conversation that I had yesterday and I've talked about this when I keep hearing everybody says, um, especially again the conscious movement,
Mhm.
we just want to pray for, we want peace, we want everything to just be this like, whatever this idea of peace is, where we just live and everything is just wonderful. And the truth of it is, that would be really boring. There would be nothing to push us. It's true.
Right.
There would be nothing to motivate us to discover more, to go seeking, to go further. And
Mhm.
so everybody, I'm like, okay, but then if everything was okay, then you couldn't get to pray for peace. You wouldn't get
There
to,
you go.
you
It would
you
be the
would
point.
will be the point. You wouldn't get to
Something's
have this
got to get you.
experience.
Something's got to get you to develop compassion.
Yeah,
Something has to
absolutely.
get you to develop this awareness of who you are.
Absolutely. And somebody plays those roles. Maybe you and I might not do some, maybe in this life we're not doing those particular things, but somebody has to play those roles.
It's
It's
got to
like
play.
somebody's got to be rich, somebody's got to be poor. If you don't
Yeah,
have rich, then geez, well, to be poor, we wouldn't know what that is. We wouldn't know what it is to be rich because you have to have this polarity, and this is what this reality is about. It's very polarized. So
Mhm.
we don't know center, we don't know balance, and that's the challenge. We like the extreme, we want to swing, either it's good or it's bad. We don't know
Mhm.
that the peace and love is really about center. It's really about
Right.
balance. It's not about out there or over here. It's
And
just
it's really the
true.
same thing, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about joy and pain, for instance, we can quote Mays, right?
Oh yeah, oh,
It's
I'm
the
telling
same
you.
thing.
Oh,
It's
can we sing that? No.
joy and pain. Yeah,
Yes.
it's like, okay, you got joy over here at the extreme, you got pain
Hmm.
over here at the extreme. It's
Hmm.
really the same thing.
It is, because then you get people who, oh, people get really upset at that. But it's true. You get people who are really happy being miserable, and
Sure.
yeah, but they don't want to admit that. But if you try to tell them that, they go, well, yeah, you're right. But if you try to help them solve
Mhm.
their problem, that's what they do. Yeah, you're right. But if he
Yeah.
hadn't have done that to me, you
Yeah.
know, they don't want to leave there.
They love it.
They
Maybe
love
they
it.
love the attention they get when they complete it.
Absolutely. That's joy. I mean, that's absolutely, that's joy and
Yeah.
pain at the same time. But
Well, sadomasochism, we don't even go to that one. But,
you're like, that's another show.
that's another show. Hey, but how about that cosmic game in 3D? That's something that you're working on too. Because it's all a game, ain't it?
Oh yeah, I know these people. Anybody who's listening to it, they go, "Yeah, that lady's been working on that book for 2 years."
That's all right. It
It's
is
gonna
being
be,
prepared.
yeah. Well, you know what? I guess I'm gathering material. Maybe that's what's going on. I started out writing that book, Cosmic Game in 3D, Mastering the Reality, Mastering the Matrix of the Mind. Now, I had one thought in mind. Okay, I sat and then this is what it's gonna be. And then I changed, and then it took on a whole other life of a life of its own. Now it took me to this other space, and quite honestly, I for me to sit at the time, it's like I could feel how large this was, but now I'd have to sit and write this, and it was like forcing me to sit in one spot to now try to write all of this, put this in words. And so, like a little kid, this when this came along, now I wanted to play in that, and that's what happened. I wanted to do that. So I think ultimately at some point I'll sit down and I'll write it. I do not sit and write like a lot of people do. I For me it works better. I want to feel the information flowing through me. I want to just sit and write it when it's live. I don't want to write from my head. I don't want to sit and go, well, I've got to finish this book in a week. I don't want to write under those kinds of restrictions. So I have just, over these few years, I have just learned to just let myself do what I am feeling right then. And that's what I did. And I know some people think, God, well, that's not being responsible. Actually, somebody did tell me that when the book wasn't done. Somebody wrote me. They were mad because they wanted the book. They were like ticked that they wanted to read it and it was not done. And I was like, well, sorry about that, but it's just not done yet. But I won't really do that anymore. I just let go and I just start doing only what I feel I want to do right then. This goes against everything that we've been taught. Restriction is what we've been taught.
Well, that hive mind, I mean, heck, if you want the hive to run properly, you've got to have busy bees that are doing things in an orderly, timely fashion.
Absolutely. That's what it
But I got news for 'em. The hive is expanding. Right? Oh
Absolutely.
my goodness, it's not like what it used to be.
It's not like what it used to be,
Not at
and
all. People
yeah.
are popping out all the time. Now
Learning
you've got a
freedom.
radio program. You were doing the Sovereign Mind radio, but now there's something new. Inner Bridge. Tell us about that.
That was all part of it. Okay, so I had Sovereign Mind Radio for 4.5 years, and then I just one day, because it was so much work, because whenever I do things, that's something I had to change. I invest so much energy into making it this and making it that, and I was getting really tired of doing it, and trying to meet. Oh, I've got to do it at this time at 2 o'clock at this time and so on, and it was becoming more of a stress to me,
Mhm.
and instead of the fun that it was when I started doing it. And so one day, to show you how impulsive I am, one day I had emailed this lady, and I said, "Oh, can I, would you interview me again? And I'd love to be on your show." And she emailed me back and said, "Oh, I'm not doing my show right now." She's like, "I can't. I just put my show off because I have so many other things to do. I'm not doing it at this time. I just get back to it maybe late. I don't know. I might get back to it. I might not." And then I read that email and I was like, huh, I should do that. I don't want to do my show anymore.
Did they give you permission? Did they give you permission?
And at that about an hour, I sent out an email saying I wasn't doing my show anymore. That impulsively.
Well, girl, that show was very organized and orderly. I was on there once,
I
and boy,
know.
you had it scripted and everything. There was a cue for everybody to say their line. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it was just, well, that was the other show I did. That was going to be the four of us. Then I was doing my regular show, so that was one show. Then I was doing my regular show, but then that went out. But yeah, so after I got a break from it and just kind of relaxed from it, then I felt maybe a couple months ago, I think I want to do my show again. I really miss talking to all these really amazing people. But this time when I do my show, well, I decided to call it Inner Bridge Radio. This time when I do my show, it's totally because I am enjoying it. I have no expectations. I'm just doing it because I really enjoy it. And I had decided I was only going to do things that I was having fun with. And that's how I started doing a show again. So I'm not going to have that overdose of whatever, in terms of sending stuff out, not like that, not the way I was doing it, because I couldn't anyway. It's too much going on. So it's called Interbridge Radio, and I combined my websites in one. That was the problem. There were three separate sites. I had like 4 or 5 websites. It's ridiculous. So we combined 3 of them in one. So you've got the spiritinformed.com site that houses all 3 websites. The Spirit Informed site is 10 years old. This year it's actually been there for 10 years. So it has the Inner Bridge Radio and Reality Bridge magazine. So it's all on the same site, same password, everything to log in. So that's what I did. And then the magazine, I had Sovereign Mind magazine, and that I got, it was too much. So then I stopped doing that for quite a while. Then I realized, oh, I love writing, and I don't even have any articles in it. But I get all these articles from people, and I really love this. So I just made everything easier for me. Everything that I'm doing is going to be fun, but easier. Um, that includes the film. The film, in the very beginning, oh, I gotta get it out by this time, and I gotta, and then I relax, and I'm like, why? Why? You don't have to do anything by any time. Just relax. And the film took on a life of its own because I let go, and it just sort of guided me, whatever the next move is. So that's how I'm doing everything. So the magazine and the radio show is there. Inner Bridge Radio and Reality Bridge magazine, all under spiritinformed.com.
Right. And you're doing a lot of workshops too. It's a lot of
Um,
webinars like what we're doing now.
yeah, I'm even cutting those out.
We better catch her while we can.
I'm even really, I'm even cutting those out.
I have a feeling that you're about to move into another reality.
And I knew one day that would happen. One day that would happen, and part of it, I think I'm getting so. When I say I'm getting so out there, some of the things that we've talked about today, what I'm seeing about the reality, for me, is just getting so much bigger. And what I find sometimes is I do have people who are really interested, and they want to go there with me, and they do go there with me because that's the where their space, that's where their mind is to really become expansive with it. And I no longer market myself, the way I used to. I've just changed a lot of things in my life, and I know that everything will just work on unfold as it should. So I don't do a lot of that anymore. And so I have so much content on Spirit Informed from all the workshops and lectures that I've done that they will be there for anybody who wants them. I've done almost 3 years of 6 months workshops that are phenomenal. The information in those workshops you don't see on YouTube. So when people say, oh, I love what you do, they don't even hear the half of what happens in those other workshops. And a lot of these people were there for that whole period of time, and we really try to put quantum physics, try to put a lot of the science to work in our lives. So we didn't just talk about it, but we really were putting it all to work. So that's what those workshops were about, and we all grew. I'm part of all the workshops, so I facilitate them, but I've been part of growing in those workshops, those teleconferences, and so that's kind of where I am right now. And if I do any, I don't know, maybe I might do 2 really big workshops, for the year. I don't know yet where that's going, so I'm just trusting how this is all unfolding. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Excellent. Well, I would say that it's unfolding beautifully. And I'm happy to be connected with that flow. How can those that are listening and watching this video uh, get hooked into that? I mean, is there something that they can sign up for? Can they connect with you?
Um, yeah, it's spiritinform.com. Now, as of right now, I'm still doing the 30-minute teleconferences every month. And that's the 30-minute teleconferences. You can just go on the site and you can also subscribe and get all of the other 30-minute teleconferences as well. But yeah, I do a 30-minute teleconference once a month, and so people can still participate in that. I have not stopped doing that yet. I really enjoy that. And everything else, you can go on the site, and the store has all of those. There's downloads, lots of instant downloads. The 6 months workshop, we're talking, 15 hours or of content, the workshop. So we meet once a month for 6 months, and during the month, what we talked about in that once a month when we meet for a couple of hours, we put it into effect. So there's like homework, and everybody just sort of put it into effect for the month, and that's how it was done. And then we meet again, and this way people were doing this themselves. There was no dependency. Nobody was a guru. There's none of that. It's everybody is just a strong being moving into their own mastery, and the once a month thing really, really worked well because you got a chance to put it to the test.
Sure.
So it's all there on the website.
Excellent. Spiritinform.com.
.com. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Well, Sonia, this has been beautiful. It's been a really treat for me. I thank you so much for agreeing to join us here.
Oh,
And
thank you, Tamara, for inviting me. You're such a great host. And, the one thing I really enjoy is being on a show where the host has that kind of understanding so that the dialogue can be so beautiful. It becomes a great exchange. I really love that. So I'm appreciative, and I am so honored to be on your show. So thank you so, so much.
you're so very welcome. And I thank you all for joining us here, hanging out with Tam. You'll definitely be able to see this uploaded on the YouTube channel, which is the youtube.com/Solutions Radio. All right. Peace and blessings. And we are going to tune out now. Take good care.